This is Doreen McCafferty from Holistic Wellness from Within. And today I am going to talk to you about why you need a hair tissue mineral analysis test. I'm going to tell you the benefits of it, why it's superior to blood tests, and give you information that will help you heal your body and prevent future illness. I also want you to find optimal wellness and energy. I don't want you to be just able to get out of bed in the morning. I want you to actually begin to feel really good. And that's what my program is designed to help you do. So today I will be sometimes putting these glasses on so I can see my notes. And with that being said, I do have notes attached to the email that you received in the newsletter where you can look up at the handout that has been posted so that you can read the article about this particular 12 reasons actually why you need a hair tissue mineral analysis. So let's move right into it. And I am going to jump over to these notes. And here we go. So what a hair tissue mineral analysis does show us is what is going on at the cellular level. Now, it is at the cellular level where all healing takes place and where everything begins. So actually, if you think about it, if you go to the doctor and you're diagnosed with a disease that they find in your blood, it has progressed pretty severely. If you can see that in the cells, you can see the cells are moving in a direction where various disease may result or may develop, we can prevent it. And if it's there and you have it, we can heal it, but not by giving you just like, something to cover up the symptoms, but by actually bringing the body into balance where the symptoms will eventually, more slowly, they don't always go away as quickly as they would if you just took some kind of quick drug, but they will over time begin to go away and the body will heal on a very deep level. So that's very important. And that's why we're looking at the cells. We're not really looking at your hair. We're looking at what is in the cells of the body. Now, it also allows us to detect toxic metals. And toxic metals are detected in the cells, again, of the body. Maybe they're hiding out in the cells and they're really low because the body doesn't have enough energy to actually get rid of the metal. Or maybe they're very toxic because you're being exposed to the metal or you have been in the past. It doesn't matter. We just know the body's toxic. We want to see where those metals are, which metals are toxic. We want to help get rid of those metals and move them in a very safe way out of the body. And by the way, the hair tissue mineral analysis is one of the few methods actually approved even by the EPA for detecting toxic metals in the body. Now, it also has a really kind of unique way of finding and understanding one's emotions. And this is always really, really interesting because you'll see emotional issues show up when the body is physically distressed from something going on. It will create various emotional issues, and those two things are connected. Your physical being is connected to how you are doing emotionally and spiritually and mentally. Those things all work together. So let me give you an example of a really interesting story that I have because I really love doing a retest, and I also always kind of have in my mind where and what your particular journey looks like. So I had a client who had their family on the program and they had been testing and retesting for years. And then one day, one of her children developed severe stress reactions. They were everywhere. She was in a really deep sympathetic dominant pattern. She had just a lot of the stress reactions that I had never seen before in this child. And so I mentioned to the mother, I don't really know what's going on, but I think your daughter is under some severe stress or has been, and maybe you should talk to her and try to figure out what's happening. So sure enough, the mother eventually got back to me, found out that the daughter had been going through a really hard time that she hadn't opened up and shared her feelings about. She was keeping them inside. And so the mother needed to step in and help her deal with the situation she was in. But this situation had caused these severe stress reaction. And because, again, I had been working with her for a long time, seeing pretty much the progression of a fairly happy child, and then all of a sudden seeing a huge change, remarkable change. And this happens in adults as well. It happens a lot with the mineral we know as magnesium. Magnesium is a huge relaxant mineral. And when we are under certain kinds of stress, our body will deplete, or we will be depleted of magnesium, and it is not necessarily important to take it to restore magnesium. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but I'll work to help you figure that out. But the point is, when you are depleted of magnesium, you feel very combative, almost like triggered very easily. If you have a child who's depleted of magnesium, they will be very belligerent sometimes, and you'll think, wow, what's wrong with this kid? They don't listen. They're angry all the time. They're, always arguing with me. And this can be because they're missing relaxant minerals. No, you don't want to make excuses for bad behavior, whether it's your child's or your own bad behavior, but it does often mean that we're missing minerals that we need. If we can't relax, if our body can't recover, then many times we are going to be in those states. And that's just one example of emotions that I see that occur when we're depleted of that particular mineral. But there are so many more. So it does help us understand the emotional, mental, spiritual connection to our physical bodies, because it's all one piece. That's why it's called holistic and holistic healing. That's what we do here. Now, we are also rebuilding the body's energy mechanism, because listen, you cannot detox, your body cannot heal if you do not have the energy your body needs to perform those functions. It takes a lot of energy to actually heal. It's a lot of work. And so the body needs that energy. And with your program, we're going to give your body that energy it needs to do the restorative and reparative work that needs to be done. We're going to do that while we balance the oxidation type. If you're not sure what the oxidation rates mean, please go back and listen to video 1 where I discuss oxidation rates and their meanings. But we want to make sure that we are bringing the body closer to balanced oxidation rate, and that's an ongoing process because the oxidation rate always changes. It reacts to stress, it reacts to whatever currently is going on with our body, sometimes how well we're following our program, everything going on around us. It does change, and the oxidation rate's always changing. And that's just part of being a living human being. It's always going to change. So when you retest, I see that, we make adjustments, and we keep moving you in the right direction. Now, we also can identify well over 20 trends, and that's really amazing on a test. It doesn't mean you're going to have 20 trends. You may see 2 or 3 trends written or checked off on your report. That's all you may have at that time. You may retest and many more may appear. Sometimes the trends are really good. They show healing. Sometimes they're retracing, or what we call going back through and doing deep healing. And so they need to come back. They need to work their way out of the body. But whatever the trend is, I'll be able to explain to you why you have it, what we're going to do, and where we can hopefully see that trend go in the future. And eventually, all these audio files I'm doing or videos I'm doing, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the trends that we see on the reports. And I'll be taking them apart one by one, so you really get a good understanding of those trends. Now, also, it gives me the perfect idea of the exact precise amount of supplements and the right food you need to balance your body. And I say that because supplements work in synergy with one another. The ratio of each supplement, the ratio of the things you're taking, they need to be synergistically designed so that it moves the body in the right direction. So taking something that someone else is taking because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Or maybe you need something in a lesser amount or more of something than someone else is taking. It really needs to be designed for your body. It needs to be precise. It's that precision of you working with those supplements, designing them for you, that puts your body and moves your body in the right direction. Now, on an HTMA, that's your hair tissue mineral analysis, we are also looking at organ, gland, and tissue function. So various parts of the test do tell us what's going on within those various areas of the body. So, for example, and I talked about this, I'm sure in some of my other videos, but the calcium to potassium ratio is the thyroid ratio. Tell me what's going on in your thyroid. Now, when I first came into the program many moons ago, I was working with a holistic doctor. That holistic doctor used blood work and decided that I needed thyroid hormones, and he was giving me Armour thyroid. And in case you don't know, that is the natural form of a thyroid hormone. But guess what? It was really, I felt wired and tired a lot. I felt like I had a lot of energy, but I always felt like it wasn't natural energy. It felt kind of almost like it was being produced in my body, which is actually exactly what was going on. And then over the years of having that medication put into my body, my actual thyroid, my thyroid stopped working. But why would it work? Why would it produce hormone if I was putting hormones into my body, natural or not? I was putting hormone into my body. It was shutting down any production of the hormone from my thyroid. So I had to go through a whole lot of deep healing and a whole lot of fatigue actually to get to a point where my thyroid could work again on its own. And that's what I did. And I used minerals to do it. But those are the kind of things you will see on the test. So while my doctor was telling me that I was hypothyroid and my body was telling me, well, gosh, you feel pretty good. You have all this energy. It was very wired energy. So again, I'm pretty in touch with my body and it didn't feel very natural. But when I got my first hair analysis back, I was so far into what we call hyperthyroidism, and my thyroid was overworking. It wasn't really that my thyroid was overworking. It was all those hormones causing that huge spike in making my thyroid numbers, my CAK numbers, look like they were in hyperthyroidism. But basically, my doctor was putting me there. My body wasn't putting me there. And so I went through a deep healing process. And I can help you do that as well. I certainly know that sometimes the healing part isn't pleasant. So I work with you to make it manageable and you can get through it. And you can actually have a functioning whatever we're looking at. Adrenals, everyone's worried about the adrenals. So the adrenals, the thyroid, all those things can be healed as we're working with this program, as well as improved pancreas, kidney function, all those things. So we're looking at how the body is functioning and how it's working synergistically. We can't isolate one part of the body the way a doctor does and try to treat it. So moving on, I'm also getting and constructing a picture of your unique body chemistry. And this is really built over time. So the more a person retests, the longer I work with them, the more I begin to see certain things that may be normal for them, even if they're not normal, what we call normal. I don't even like to use that word, but what would be considered normal for an average individual. For this person, it may be something like, I'll just give you a fast example here. Somebody may be a fast oxidizer that just doesn't really come out of fast, but we can keep them in a very mild fast oxidation because maybe that's just their unique body chemistry. Now, yes, we need to work to make sure we are trying and putting, going on a program to come out of fast oxidation, but there are certain people who just don't come out of it and they do fine. Now, that's few. Those are few and far between. But the point is, the longer I work with somebody, the more I can start to see if that person has a particular trend or pattern that, while following the program very well, they just tend to be outside of that little normal scope of what we consider normal. And it becomes a portrait of their unique picture of their body chemistry. This is very helpful in helping you understand your body and helping you progress. Now, we're also, of course, monitoring progress. Where are the metals going? How's the oxidation rate moving? Progress is an up and down journey, right? If you go through a really hard time in your life and you lose a job or get divorced or get a new job or have a baby, many times your progress is going to look a lot different on that test than it did maybe for months before. So this is a progression because life is a progression. It's not linear. We're going to go up and down and up and down and move sometimes in the right direction. Some things move in the wrong direction. We just typically, or what I do is make sure that we are looking at how we can change things that we need to change to get on path or move things in the correct direction. And those things need to be monitored regularly so that you are moving in the right direction. This is why I do recommend retesting and following the time frame I give you. Now, my favorite thing to talk about when I talk about a hair mineral analysis is how superior it is over blood tests. I'm not saying that blood tests aren't good for some things. They are good for certain things. Sometimes you need them. Sometimes I would recommend different types of blood tests than what maybe the traditional doctors are doing. So you can always check with me about that. But for the most part, just like with me, having a blood test for my thyroid didn't really help. In fact, it only caused a very holistic doctor who had very great intentions to really pretty much ruin my thyroid. So I love the hair analysis test because it is much more accurate. Mineral levels in blood are 10 times less likely than they are in tissues, making, wait a minute, let me read this. Mineral levels in blood are 10 times less than they are in the tissues, making measurement difficult. Also, blood levels are kept within very narrow limits by the body for various reasons. And so the readings can be little and less informative. And so therefore, I don't really like using the blood test because we are not getting really a big picture of what's going on. We're not getting a deep picture of what's going on. It's a very narrow and kind of shallow snapshot. Also, blood tests fluctuate daily. They fluctuate moment by moment. They fluctuate after you eat a meal. So how do you know if you really have low potassium or high potassium, depending on what maybe you ate, even the day before? The same is true with many different areas of that blood test. Also, I will just say that the blood tests, when you get them done, even by, when you get them done by a conventional doctor, they have a chart with all the norms, and the norms are really not often what I would consider to be normal at all. When I do, I will give you one example. I like to test my vitamin D, and I want my vitamin D at the very high and even outside of what they consider normal range, a little on the higher side. I know that my vitamin D isn't going to be toxic unless it gets up to 200, and I've not had it there. But when my vitamin D is higher, I don't get sick. So I want that higher level of vitamin D, and it's going to probably look outside of what the normal range is that a doctor would consider to be normal. That's fine with me. But I do actually do that blood test from home and send it in a couple times a year just to have it checked. And if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll tell you how you can do that. So anyway, blood tests are just very inaccurate for most. What we really want to do is heal. Also, blood tests are going to miss things, as I mentioned earlier. If it's not in your cells, it's in your cells, but it's not yet in your blood, then they just don't even have a diagnosis for you. And that's really what doctors are there for. They're there to diagnose. So you can go in with all these symptoms and they can tell you you don't have them or they're not real. And it's really not true at all. It just means that those issues that are occurring have not yet made changes in the blood. Well, why do you want to wait until they do? If we look at what's happening when changes are being made in the cells, we can prevent. And that's really the beauty of a hair mineral program. You can prevent illness and disease from occurring. But even if you come in and you've already been diagnosed, you can reverse and even heal that at the cellular level. So that's really what we want to do. We want to heal and prevent. And this is why HTMA is so important and so accurate. So it is very, very accurate and reliable. Now, no test is 100% accurate, but I would say that the accuracy of a hair tissue mineral analysis is more and much more accurate and reliable than a blood test. Okay, they are not new. They have been around for about 60 years. And so, it's not outdated. It's just a different way of looking at things. It was never really adopted or accepted by conventional or traditional medicine, but it really does work. And when you understand the mechanisms of how it works, then you understand why you really want to use it to actually create a healthy body and move yourself in the right direction. So, with all of that being said, I am going to just once again refer you to go to the handout, read through the handout. I just covered the points that you will see on the handout, but you can read through the details. And certainly, if you have any questions about what I've shared, let me know. But even more so, would you please share this video with your family, with your friends, with people you love? Let them know why a hair analysis works, why getting the right supplements in the body bring the body into balance, and then why that brings about health. So we are healing the body naturally and we are preventing illness, right? That's what we're here to do. So I'm here to help you. I hope again that you'll share this video with friends, family, and on your social media platforms. Please feel free to share it there as well. You can reach me at holisticlifestyleconsulting.com. That's where I'm at for now. My new website will be up soon, but that's where I'm at this time. And you can also find a contact page there where you can send personal questions, or if you have my email, send them to me through email as well. I look forward to working with you. If you have any questions about anything I've shared, please contact me and reach out. And if you have any issue or questions that you would like to see addressed on future videos, let me know and I'll be glad to help you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and have a happy and healthy life.